Hello dear kids, today in this video we are going to discuss the style of invitation writing, and first part of this invitation writing, formal invitation writing we are doing, right? We have started from our last video. So by chance if you have missed, so please watch that video also, that is there in your homework section. So today here we are going to discuss second aspect of formal invitation writing, right? Earlier we discussed the card style, and today we are going to discuss formal invitation in letter style, right? So we have to see that what are the things we have to write down in this invitation letter, where we are talking about the invitation letter style of formal invitation styles, right? So if you have missed this is the video, and this is the PDF actually which I am going to attach with your video. So the link will be there in the description box. So please take care from there, and please note down from there. This was the first style, card style, right, which was for a cultural event of the school, and the second one was for marriage, right? And this is the invitation for the marriage, and from the girl side this was the invitation, right? And we have discussed that what we have to do, which things we have to use where. Today we are going to do letter style of formal invitations, right? So as I've discussed earlier too in the previous video, that this formal letter or letter style of formal invitation, that is exactly same as formal letters, right? The letters which we give to offices, VIPs, right? So something like that. So that style of invitation and that style of format we have to follow here. So the very first thing you have to discuss is, you have to write down here is, that is what? That you can see the sender's address, right? The first thing, and that is sender's address, where you have to include name of the institution and the address of the institution. This is given in 3 to 4 lines, or in 2 to 3 lines you will do that. Next line, after completing sender's address, you have to give a space of a line, right? Then you have to write down date. Again, after writing the date, you have to give one space, means you have to leave one line blank here, and then we have to write down receiver's name and address. Okay, receiver's name and address. So you must have noticed here one thing, that Mr. Rahul Sudama. Okay, so generally what we do in formal letters, we do not write down the name of the receiver. Generally we do the designation, right, like the editor, the municipal commissioner, or something like that. But here in this invitation we are adding the name of the receiver too. So that is what? Mr. Rahul Sudama, principal. This is designation, Stephen School, Mumbai. Clear? So this is what? This is receiver's address. After writing receiver's address, we have to give one line space here once again. Clear? And then we have to write down the subject, and subject should be catchy and should be clear. Okay, so and should not be written in a sentence or in 2-3 sentences. It should be written in phrase, like here it is given, subject invitation to judge inter-school debate. Okay, then you have to do respected sir, but without comma. With comma is not required here, by mistake it is there. So respected sir. Clear? And then you have to start the content, and the content should have name of the event, right, where, place, and what is all about the information which is giving about the event, that should be there, that where it is, what is the place, what is the location. Okay, and all the things you have to try to do that with the date, day, time, event there should be there in this content of the invitation. So here we are going with this content, where it is starting, St. Mary's has been given the privilege of hosting this year's inter-school debate 2000, whatever the year you are inviting for. So Mr. St. Martin's has been given the privilege of hosting this year's inter-school debate. After that, this is the first introduction line of the letter of the invitation, you can say. Okay. Second is, we would be greatly obliged if you could spare some time from your busy schedule and be the chief judge of the event. The program is on 25th September 2000 between 9:30 am to 2:30 pm in the school auditorium. So, this is what it is going to be, and why you are inviting the person to be the chief guest, right? That should be clearly written here with the date, time and the place, right? Next is the last line that is required here, that you have to show your concern also. What is your response? That is also required there. Okay. So, accordingly on the basis of that you can organize that. So, that is kindly confirm. This is very important line in this letter style of invitation, that is, kindly confirm your availability at the earliest and oblige. Please send an email to St. Martin's School at yahoo.com. Okay. Yours sincerely, then signature and the designation. So, this is what you have noticed here. This is exactly same as formal letter. So, this is what we have to take care in formal invitation when we have to go for this letter style, right. So, this is what you just take the screenshot of this and note down in your notebook. Next, we have to discuss here the replies of the invitation, which is very important. So, when we are talking about these replies of the invitations, okay. So, here what are the things we have to take care? First, understand, let us understand what are these replies and why these are written and all that. Okay. So, the replies are what? When someone has given you the invitation and you just want to tell your availability or not, right. So, that is for that you have to write down. This can be of two styles, this can be of two types. One is in acceptance of the invitation and the second one is refusal of the invitation, right. So, let us talk about the features of the replies are as follows. A formal reply is usually very short, it is brief and to the point, right. The quality of a good reply is that is always pleasant, because we are talking about formal replies here. Please take care, we have discussed formal writings of invitation. So, this is formal replies. Okay. This we have to give to both card and what letter style, that is same for both. We have done card style also, letter style also, but replies are same of both the things. Okay. So, that please take care what we have to do. We are just looking for the features here. Even while declining the invitation or expressing the inability to attend, one must be polite and courteous. Formal replies demand a formal tone and treatment. There is no room of unnecessary details or the superfluous matters in them, right. You are not advised to write down the nonsense things here, that this and that, and means the formal should be the language of your replies, right. Here you cannot express your personal feelings and desires, and the intimation style should be formal, that is it, right. Next is formal replies. So, the main characteristics of the formal replies are as follows. First of the thing, this is the format actually, right. So, what are the things you have to do? Acknowledge the invitation, clear. So, that how you have to do that, I will give you the examples here, okay, the samples of this, okay, that this is what acknowledge the invitation. So, you have to acknowledge the invitation in first line, then you have to express the thanks in the third person. Here once again I am saying third person, first and second person you will not use in invitation writing. Then you have to mention the acceptance and regret. So, this is first thing, second and third thing. First you have to acknowledge the invitation, then you have to express the thanks for inviting you, right, and then you have to mention the acceptance or the regret. And then in fourth line you have to specify the reason for the refusal. Okay, if you are refusing if you are sending the refusal, then you have to add this line, specify the reason for refusal, that I cannot be, I am not available, or I regret for not attending this function as due to my previous engagement or something. So that is the language to specify the reason for the refusal. Okay, but if you are writing the reply for acceptance, then you will show your ability that you will come. Okay, so brief and specific, and formal in tone and treatment. This is quite important. As I told you, you cannot express your own desires, own feelings, and all that. Okay, the tone should be formal, right? Now see the example what is given. So this is what? This is sample formal replies number 1, and this is for accepting the invitation. Now you must have seen the style of invitation for marriage cards. So this is actually the reply for that. Let's have a look on that. I'm talking about this one, right? This is the wedding card where Mr. and Mrs. N.K. Khanna, they are the host of the function, and the name of the honoree is Aditi and Mehul, right? And when it is on 20th October, and the year is not specified here, right? So this is the invitation card, and this is to be given to bulk, right, for many of your friends, many of your colleagues, and this is formal. So this the reply of this card, this style of invitation we are going to do here. So let's see. Now let's discuss the acceptance. Okay, the reply you have to write down, and here you are writing the formal replies, and that may be of two kinds, acceptance and refusal. Okay, so one thing you have to keep in mind, that whatever the style you are choosing for formal invitations, the formal replies, for both card and the letter, you have to follow the same pattern. Here I forgot to mention to keep this in box, so that is very important, that you have to keep, that you have to do in every invitation writing. Okay, formal, informal, reply, acceptance, refusal, whatever it is. So this you have to keep in mind. Now, as we have discussed earlier, that this formal invitation, right, we have to write down where we have to acknowledge the invitation first. So what I am trying to say, that we discussed, this is the acceptance of the formal reply I have written for you, and earlier we have discussed, let's see, I will show you the card. This I have written for this marriage wedding card, okay, where Mr. and Mrs. N.K. Khanna, they are host, right? And what is the occasion? The occasion is marriage of their daughter, and the name of the daughter is Aditi, right? Now this invitation is to be given in bulk, clear? And we have to write down the reply of this invitation. So let's see this, how to write down. Okay, so the very important thing, you have to inbox it, you have to keep in box, clear? On the top you have to write down accepting the invitation. So this is actually, you will not write down in your paper, that this from here you have to start. Your answer is getting start from here, only this. Okay, accepting the invitation. Now I have told you that when we talked about the characteristics of this invitation, so the first thing is what? You have to acknowledge the invitation. So that I am doing here. Mr. Vipin thanks Mrs. and Mr. Khanna for the kind invitation, right? So it is what? Acknowledgement of the invitation along with the expression of thanks, and that should be in third person, right? So who is Mr. Vipin here? Mr. Vipin is one of the person who has received that invitation, that marriage card, right, for this event or this occasion of the marriage of daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Khanna, right? So one of the person, he is writing that, because that particular name of Mr. Vipin is not mentioned in that particular card, because generally we write down that on envelope, right. So Mr. Vipin, suppose you have been given name Mr. Vipin, so you have to write down that accepting invitation reply. So Mr. Vipin thanks Mr. and Mrs. Khanna. Now they are who? The host of the kind invitation to their daughter Aditi's marriage. So here you have acknowledged the invitation, you have expressed the thanks also. Now the next thing you have to do is you have to mention the acceptance or regret. So here you are accepting because, so you will not regret here, you will not mention the regression here, you will just show your acceptance, and has a great pleasure in accepting it. So this is the line, you have to learn it like this, and exactly you have to write down, so that there will be no chances of deduction of your marks. Okay, so accepting it and confirms his presence at the venue of the scheduled time. So here briefly and in the specified way you have done in a formal tone, you have written the acceptance of the invitation. So this is what reply of accepting the invitation in formal style. Once again I am telling you, whether you are using this letter style or card style, in both of the cases replies should be like this only. Okay, it must not be there in your mind ki where we are using letter, there we have to write down reply in letter. No, it is, we are talking about formal invitations. So formal invitation replies are of same kind with the card or what is that second one, letter style. Okay, second one is we have to see sample formal reply of declining the invitation. Okay, the same thing I am taking here. Mr. Vipin is the writer, means he is the receiver, and he is writing the reply to Mr. and Mrs. N.K. Khanna, but this time he is redirecting his arrival to the party or to the wedding. So box is required here too. Clear? Mr. Vipin thanks Mrs. and Mr. and Mrs. Khanna for the kind invitation to their daughter Aditi's marriage on 20th January 2000 whatever it is at 10 a.m. but regrets his inability to attend due to a prior engagement. So here in this line you may notice that here he is showing, he is giving the reason of regression, he is specifying the reason of refusal, right. So that he is showing here, and the reason because due to a prior engagement he cannot do that. So after that he is giving his blessings also. So he wishes Aditi a married life. That's it. No name, no signature, no designation is required. So this is the style. Next is replies for replies accepting or declining. These are some of the things which you have to keep in mind, that formal follow a set formula. These formal replies, formal words like kind invitation, great pleasure, regret, etc. So these are the words you can use in your replies. Use third person only, that is they or instead of I and we, right, like here it is not given, and address of the writer and the date to be written. So that is what it is not required here, address of the writer and the date to be written. So that is not required here, but whatever the given in the question that you have to write down, means whatever like Mr. Vipin. Okay, so that is required here, like Mr. Vipin needs to be written here. So thank you very much for today. Note down these formats and the samples in your notebook. Thank you very much.